As a cyclist, I know and accept that when I take to the open road, I'm going to face certain hazards. There are many, but perhaps the biggest risk comes from our four-wheeled friends. And while some cars are courteous and go out of their way to pass safely, others, well, you know.
And don't be that guy.
And as a general rule of thumb, I do not ride with any earbuds, bone conductive devices for music while I'm out on the road, preferring instead to engage all of my senses. I not only listen for cars, but also for fellow cyclists and to my bike.
So not long ago, I did a video on how to develop the skills to look back, and I described 3 different techniques that I thought it was very important for every cyclist to develop. And one of the most consistent comments that I got from that video was, hey, get yourself a helmet mirror, and of equal enthusiasm was get yourself a radar. And while I support the idea, and I'm like, yeah, those are great pieces of technology to have to help us, you still need to develop the skills of how to look back without going offline. So today, I'm riding with a radar. It's actually the Magene 506 cyclocomputer with a 508 radar taillight. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how it's been to ride with it, the ease of use, and whether I think it's worth it you spending your coin to get one of these gadgets. All right, let's go.
L508 Radar connects seamlessly to the all-new C506 computer and is controlled through the app or head unit. The range is 140 meters, at which point it emits an audible chirp and has an accompanying avatar that shows the approaching cars. After the final car in range, it gives a distinct final chirp. The Magene C506 computer, which I paired to the L508 Radar, is about the same size as a Garmin 530, so it's compact. However, it has a 2.4-inch color touchscreen, map navigation with off-course alerts, and it integrates to other Magene devices like the power meter and the radar light. I can access Magene's connected devices through the head unit or the accompanying app. Connectivity is largely through Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, but there's also a feature called AGNSS, which uses mobile networks to maintain connectivity for accurate positioning. So once you press start, instead of having to wait for the computer to access satellites, you can take off right away. The connectivity will be there. You're not going to lose any data. There are also several smart integrations that you can program the C506 computer to do, like turning on the AT series front light under certain conditions, or change the light modes on the L508 radar. All of these functions can be pre-programmed, making it a smart integrated system. On the unit or on the app, Smart Assistant gives access to safety and convenience features such as auto headlights, back home reminder, nutrition reminders, and different safety notifications. And as would be expected, the head unit screen is completely customizable. There are 12 cycling modes, 10 data pages in each mode, and 10 data items such as speed, cadence, heart rate, power, etc. on each page. So you can customize to your heart's content. Other features of the unit is it has a light sensor that dims or brightens the screen depending on ambient light conditions. And as a prodigious sweaty cyclist, in this pea soup of humidity we have down here in South Florida, I appreciate the waterproof screen coating that doesn't confuse my sweat for our command. That was definitely tested. Moving on to the L508 Taillight Radar, it features 6 modes, including Peloton mode, which dims the light for group riding to not be intrusive towards your fellow cyclists, and it also shuts the radar down. There's also brake mode, which brightens the light for 3 seconds when the unit senses that you are braking. Let me demonstrate. Using this setup added an additional layer of awareness to my riding, and there's no denying that the days I rode without the radar, I felt like I was missing something. I still rely on my hearing, but having that chirp confirm what I heard behind me was certainly reassuring. But I do stand by my original premise that while these are great safety aids, cyclists should also safely learn and practice other methods of seeing what is behind them. So I'll post a link to my video on how to develop the skills to see what's going on at your 6. All right, time for conclusions, final thoughts, and all that kind of stuff. At $119 for the C506 computer and also $119 for the L508 Radar, I think they represent a very good value. Whether you purchase them individually or it's kind of like a combo pack, I think that they're well worth it. They functioned well, the technology, and being involved in a Magene ecosystem is something that I have absolutely no problem with. Like I always tell you guys after watching information that I share, do your due diligence, compare it to whatever competitor you're considering, but certainly make sure that you're getting the information that you need. How did I feel riding with these? Well, I can honestly say that I felt better riding with it than I felt riding without it. And remember, I'm one of those old school, I don't mind looking back kind of cycling, but there was a certain comfort that I had in having this system just chirp and confirm what I was already hearing with my ears in terms of cars coming up behind me. And there was a consistency in the way how the program worked for the duration of my testing. There was one exception. One thing that I noticed that it did towards like over the last couple of days is normally I would get a confirmation chirp of the last car passing me after that car had already passed me. It was like, let's say the car is kind of like at my 10 o'clock position. And I started noticing that would give me that final confirmation chirp when the car was like right next to me. I don't think that that's really a big deal. It's probably an anomaly. I'll continue to ride the program and see if it does anything different, but that was the only thing that I noticed as some sort of like inconsistency. In terms of the accuracy of the device, one thing I did notice is one day I was riding, I had a cyclist on my tail and we were just kind of like riding along. They also had a radar taillight, and I did notice that the Magene would hit its that little chime that you just heard, maybe a fraction of a second. Not much, but just a fraction of a second ahead of that other device. I don't know what device it was. I know it wasn't a Magene because it was a different type of chirp. And I don't think that that's a big deal, but it just goes to show that, hey, man, this system is really working. Even when I was riding in a Peloton and I had cyclists all around me, in one instance where I did not have Peloton mode turned on, it was like, let me know that there were cars coming up, and it was not confusing cars for cyclists. Which again, I thought that that was a pretty cool thing. One other thing I will say about the L508 Radar taillight is that this is actually compatible with a lot of other devices that cyclists currently use and are familiar with. I do have a discount code. It's Lewis05. It'll get you 5% off, regardless of whether or not you purchase them individually or the combo, and I'll leave that in the description below. I appreciate you guys continuing to support the channel by watching these videos, liking, commenting, and subscribing. And as always, our aim here is to inform, instruct, inspire. Be blessed.